Ladies and gentlemen, the braids are gone. Your boy chopped his hair off. And so I thought it was appropriate to preview the new haircut with an outfit that is becoming of the new dignified, professional, sophisticated version of Brandon Lehman. But check me out though, your boy looks good. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Smash the like button if you are loving the new look. But I've got an excellent video for you guys today. Donald Trump scores a massive legal victory and issues a devastating and humiliating blow to New York Attorney General Letitia James. A New York appeals court rules to throw out her egregious and excessive $500 million penalty against Donald Trump in her corrupt civil fraud witch hunt, with one judge noting just how unusual it was that Letitia James would have even brought these charges against Donald Trump in the first place. Also, Democrats go too far and make a fatal mistake in their indiscriminate automatic love and siding with all illegal aliens. A video circulated on X of an illegal alien being detained and arrested by an ICE officer, and the illegal is screaming and pleading that he's innocent, he's not a criminal. And of course the left expeditiously runs to defend this poor man, claiming he's just a good person who wants to provide for his family, only to find out less than an hour later that the man they arrested was a convicted child predator. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, guys. We are on the road to 400,000 subscribers. But I want to start this video with reminding you guys just how politically motivated this case against Donald Trump was. Here's a short little compilation of Trump deranged Letitia James vowing to go after Donald Trump for anything she can. It does not matter. She just wants Trump.
He's called me venomous.
We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City.
He's called me disgraceful.
Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court.
He's called me radical.
Listen, yes. We know he's crazy. Yes. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. Yes. We know he's out of control. Yes. We know he's losing it. We know his days are numbered and we will come together.
He's called me a racist.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale.
Thank you.
So there she is at the end, getting the audience to chant in unison their disgust for white men. And then the Democrat Party wonders why they have such a male voter problem, especially white males, while they simultaneously make one of their core philosophies demonizing and constantly blaming white men for all the world's problems. But Letitia James ran specifically on trying to put Donald Trump in jail. She was openly targeting an American citizen and assuming his guilt and vowing to find it wherever it may lie. That's what caused her to bring the most ridiculous kangaroo court charges possible against Donald Trump, where there was no victim and the bank that he supposedly defrauded said that there was no wrongdoing and they were happy to continue doing business with Trump in the future. And that's what caused this New York appeals court to throw out her excessive penalty meant to bankrupt Donald Trump. Take a look.
A New York appeals court has thrown out the massive civil fraud penalty against President Donald Trump. The president was found guilty last year by Judge Arthur Ungaron of flagrantly padding financial statements. He was ordered to pay $355 million as a penalty, which is over $500 million right now with interest. But today, a New York appeals panel ruled that penalty excessive and tossed it out, saying that it violated the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Now, I want to jump right into this Forbes article talking about this case because one of the judges in the appeals court questioned if Letitia James even had the legal authority to bring these charges against Donald Trump. It starts, New York appeals court judges signaled Thursday they may be willing to limit the 9-figure judgment against former President Donald Trump and his business associates, questioning the New York Attorney General's office during a hearing and suggesting concerns that the litigation over whether Trump fraudulently misstated the value of his assets may have gone beyond what the state can legally do. Now stick with me because this is where it starts to get juicy. Trump's lawyers argued in part that the ruling should be overturned because no one was harmed by any values being misstated, though the defendants maintained their numbers were accurate, given that Trump's company paid all the companies it did business with in full and no one lost money. New York Attorney General Letitia James' office argued that doesn't matter because the statute Trump was sued under doesn't require showing evidence that anyone was harmed. But judges said that the state may still have gone too far, saying that there have to be some guardrails in place that stop the state from going after any private business. There has to be some limitation on what the Attorney General can do, Justice Peter Moulton told Deputy Solicitor General Judith Vale, who argued the case for the Attorney General's office, after the court previously questioned bringing a case to upset a private business transaction between equally sophisticated partners in which the supposed victim had the power to conduct its own due diligence and never complained. The judges also questioned the 9-figure judgment against Trump and his associates, saying the immense penalty of this case is troubling, given the businesses Trump worked with left these transactions happy, and asking whether the fine should have been calculated differently, which would have resulted in a lower amount. So the details of this case went something like this, and don't quote me, but this is the gist. The Trump organization was doing business with Deutsche Bank, one of the biggest multinational financial institutions on planet Earth. And allegedly, the Trump organization did something like, say a building was 72 stories tall when it was only 67 stories tall. And due to that discrepancy, the square footage was off, which overvalued the building by 5 or 6 stories worth of square feet. Now, this is why the judge was saying the entire legality of Letitia James bringing these charges was questionable, is because Deutsche Bank has the opportunity to do their own due diligence before issuing and approving hundreds of millions of dollars in loans. These weren't mom and pop unsophisticated investors that were getting taken advantage of. This is one of the most sophisticated financial institutions in the world and has all the ability to do the appropriate due diligence before issuing a sum of money that large. So not only did Deutsche Bank's own due diligence not show these discrepancies that Letitia James alleges were there, but they also didn't get scammed nor lose money in any of these dealings. In fact, the Trump organization paid all the loans back in full with interest. But Letitia James, desperate and Trump deranged as ever, put out a statement on X commenting on this ruling. She says, "The First Department today affirmed the well-supported finding of the trial court. Donald Trump, his company, and 2 of his children are liable for fraud. The court upheld the injunctive relief we won, limiting Donald Trump and the Trump Organization officers' ability to do business in New York. It should not be lost to history. Yet another court has ruled that the president violated the law and that our case has merit. We will seek appeal to the Court of Appeals and continue to protect the rights and interests of New Yorkers." So not only is she blatantly lying, the court didn't affirm the merits of her case. In fact, they questioned them. But can someone explain to me how her issuing a $500 million penalty to Donald Trump in a case where no one was wronged or harmed protects the rights and the interests of New Yorkers? The Attorney General is more focused on wasting the taxpayers' money on a petty, politically motivated witch hunt against Donald Trump, instead of, I don't know, protecting New Yorkers from the violent illegals harboring in their sanctuary city. But we know that's the true constituent of the Democrat Party. But here's the video I promised you of the poor old illegal alien getting unjustifiably detained by ICE because he's an upstanding, hardworking family man. Take a look.
Yo no tengo nada, señor. Señor, yo no, por favor. Yo no debo nada, papi. Yo no debo nada. Yo no debo nada. Yo no debo nada.
So he's screaming and pleading, I'm not a criminal. I'm just a hardworking man trying to provide for my family. Well, would you be shocked that he's lying? But instinctively, the Democrats side with the illegal because in their philosophy, ICE is just the Nazi Gestapo, violating people's rights and doing nothing to protect the community. And Jessica Tarlov on the 5 has probably the worst take of them all. In fact, it's so bad she later apologizes on live TV on the 5 for defending a child predator, and I'll show you guys that a little bit later. But her post reads, "This doesn't make DC safer, it'll just make people not come to DC. The cruelty is always the point." Now, shortly after this wave of leftist support, it comes out that this man is actually a convicted child predator, which prompts Stephen Miller to respond to Jessica and say, "Why are you defending a criminal illegal alien invader charged with sexually assaulting a child?" Jessica responds, "I didn't know he was. The DHS memo on him came out hours after the video. Wouldn't ever defend such a person. Hopefully you guys will only go after these types versus hardworking folks that have committed no crimes. We'll delete my original tweet." And she tries to save face at the end and pretend that the Trump administration is only arresting hardworking people. And of course, that's why she had to make the judgment call that this guy was probably one of the good ones. It's like Democrats clearly can't tell the difference between real life and make-believe. And that's why they struggle so much to understand that a man, in fact, doesn't become a woman just because he's dressing up and pretending to be one. But in this case, they have a Hollywood image of what a criminal is. They assume that criminal illegal immigrants come into this country and there's no way that they could be working a normal job because criminals don't work normal jobs. They're all like Al Capone. They're just full-time criminals. They wake up, they do crime. Between the time that they're awake to when they go to sleep, they are just out there committing nefarious activities. There's no way they would be holding a regular job. Why would they raid Home Depots? There's no criminals working there. It's just people trying to get an honest day's work. Like, these criminals come here and they work actual jobs. I am not lying to you guys when I tell you this story. I went to a McDonald's one time and the person who handed me my drink had MS-13 tattooed on their hand. I was in such disbelief. I thought that my eyes had deceived me. And when they came back to hand me my bag of food, I verified that it was in fact what I thought. But the Democrats assume that criminals are just like allergic to having a real job. It couldn't possibly happen. They can't even fathom that these people come here, work a job to make money, and then also commit crime on the side. Being a criminal is not always a full-time 9-to-5 job like it is in the movies. But X absolutely eviscerated Jessica for this horrible take. Take a look at some of these replies. "This is what happens when you depend on being a reactive dipshit for clicks. You are so thirsty to demonize ICE that you lose all discernment. It's really unbecoming of you to act like this and then try to excuse everything. You defended the worst of the worst. You are scum. Maybe don't start with the assumption that law enforcement are cruel and torturing people is their goal, which is unquestionably what you did." This guy says, translation, "I'm a fucking idiot who reacts to things without knowing all the facts because disseminating propaganda is more important to me than accurately reporting. I'm a dumb, overpaid bimbo with TDS brain rot, and I will never get better." And that really summarizes the position of the left. They hate law enforcement. They hate safety. They hate civility. They hate structure. They believe they're all infringements on people's rights to commit criminal activity. And that's why upper-class, elitist white liberals who have never experienced real danger in their entire lives are so furious at Donald Trump for sending in extra law enforcement to clean up Washington, D.C., but the residents of the communities most affected by this violence and crime are thanking him. And it's because Democrats are out-of-touch, overly educated idiots who base their beliefs not in reality, but in delusional, made-up, utopian, academic theories. But here is Jessica having to embarrassingly apologize on the 5.
I think Donald Trump going out on patrol will be a huge win for him. It'll be like McDonald's, it'll be like the garbage man, and we'll be talking about it for a long time. It's made for social media. It's perfect in that sense. And, defended an alleged child rapist yesterday by accident. So I don't really have many legs to stand on. But I am going to, which I apologize for, and I would like that to be duly noted.
It'll be people like her who cry that Donald Trump isn't arresting the worst of the worst. But that's because they believe that the worst of the worst doesn't exist. They believe all illegal aliens are the kindest, sweetest, most charitable, hardworking, family-oriented community members possible. They instantly jump to the conclusion that they're all innocent. They'll call an illegal wife-beating MS-13 gang member simply a Maryland man. When you show them the worst of the worst, they still defend them. They still support their right to be here. And they have absolutely no shame about it. I would like to think that after this embarrassing mishap, Jessica might rethink her position on automatically assuming that law enforcement is in the wrong and every single illegal alien is an innocent, hardworking community member who's being wrongfully detained. But she probably won't, because as long as it's Donald Trump's position to deport these people, they have to take the opposite side. Their uncurable Trump derangement is causing them to spiral into a deep, dark place that they will never be able to pull themselves out of. And I would not be surprised if in the coming weeks we see that the Democrats' approval rating will hit another historic low. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed the video and this swaggy outfit, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.